Alright, type in a username, type in a computer name, works for me, hit next. Password. And hit next. Product key. We've got an evaluation copy. We don't have a private key. Hit next. Leave it all on recommended settings for right now. For Eastern time over here. Adjust. Time. Current location. I'll say is work network. And now we're going through some finalization. So there's your Windows 7 install created on a virtual machine. And there'll be one last thing that I'll need to point out to you once everything pops up. Right now, Windows is booting off, or Windows is reading our ISO image there, that file that was called Win7 when we did the install. It's reading that like it is a CD in the CD drive. And every time this thing reboots, it's going to press a button to boot off of CD or DVD drive. We need to turn that off, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And once we do that, we're going to be able to do whatever we want in this virtual environment. Then we can do in a real one. And we'll give it a couple of seconds here while it's getting things up. I will probably pause it in a couple of moments if it takes too long. And there we go. Don't need to do anything. So I am coming up to devices and go into optical drives. And here I am unchecking the Win7.iso image. So nothing is checked off. Now when it reboots, it'll just go straight into Windows 7, the installation on its hard drive. And everything that Windows 7 can offer me is available. I got the control panel here. Alright, I can change that. I've got administrative tools. Alright. Let's see what's that. Virtual machine reports that the guest OS supports mouse pointer integration. Alright. That allows the mouse to freely travel from the virtual machine to the real machine. You have auto capture keyboard option turned on. This will cause the virtual machine to automatically capture the keyboard every time the VM is activated and make it unavailable to other applications running on the host machine. Alright, let's talk about some of the things you're going to need to know for the Linux part of the exam. There are a number of commands you need to know, a number of utilities you'll need to understand, backups, software updates, that sort of thing. So I am using Ubuntu for my demonstration here, and starting at the bottom here, we're seeing the desktop. We got our wallpaper just like we would in a Windows environment or an Apple environment. Over on the left we see the trash, shortcut for backups, shortcut for the terminal, system settings, a shortcut to Amazon, the Ubuntu software repository. If you're not familiar with Linux, most of your flavors of Linux come with a utility, a package downloader and installer to install some of the free software that is out there. This is the graphical, the GUI tool that we would use for Ubuntu. Here we see downloaded a Texas Hold'em game, and we can download not just games but also development tools, databases, so on and so forth. Go back a level. There's some system tools and more virtual machines over there. Go back a level. Education, office, internet stuff. Here we have the Chromium web browser, Firefox, which is already installed. Various other things, so you get the idea. Coming back over here. Try this again. Oops. LibreOffice, an Office clone. Looks like we're probably trying to open up the PowerPoint clone Impress. You'll also have Calc, which is maps to Excel, and LibreOffice, of course, is the LibreOffice Writer is the Word clone there. Let's close. There we go. Web browser, file manager, and finally search your computer. So rather than using the terminal shortcut here, we are going to use the search your computer utility here. And if I didn't have the shortcut already, I would be typing in terminal at this point. And the applications that are already installed that begin with term or have term as part of their name, they pop up. So we see Xterm, UXterm, and we see the regular built-in terminal. I'm clicking on that and starting that. So the environment we're in is John at John-VirtualBox. The VirtualBox is the name of the computer. The John-VirtualBox is the name of the computer. And the John user is the user that we're using here. We can double check where we are at any time by typing in PWD, which is present working directory. When I hit enter, we are in the John folder inside the home directory folder there. So any user that gets created on this machine is automatically going to have a directory named after that user in the home directories. That's where all your default settings are. My documents, my downloads, my music, video, so on and so forth, my desktop. And we can confirm that by typing in ls for list. All right, if you see the names, some of them are in blue, some are in green. The blue are files or directories, excuse me. The blue is directories. The green is those are scripts. We have a text.txt file and an examples.desktop file. Those are regular files, and they are in white. All right, so if we wanted to create a file, we can use the utility touch, file.file, and hit enter. And we can confirm that it was created by typing in ls again, and that's what we have. From here, we can navigate into some of the other folders. I keep calling them folders. I really should call them directories. But we'll do that. Let's go into the downloads folder. CD downloads. Now please note, downloads is in uppercase. The D is anyway. So I am typing in CD downloads. If I were to type in downloads here, it's going to say no such file or directory. Linux, all Unix flavors, BSD, Apple, Linux, they are case sensitive. So that capital D is actually pretty important there. So I'm going to change directory to capital D downloads. You see the folder appear there. Give it ls. Okay, I have a file 3.txt. I had created for a demonstration for a different class. We can take a look at what's in it by typing cat file 3.txt. Concatenate is what cat is short for. And it is currently empty. Okay. Yeah, we can, from here, some other commands you need to know are ifconfig, that's interface config, the equivalent of ipconfig if you're familiar with the Windows environment. And we see maximum transmission unit. We see the Internet Protocol version 6 address beginning with FE80, which means it's a link local address. Ethernet address there, that's the address that's on the network card, also known as the MAC address, physical address, hardware address. We see some statistics on packets received and transmitted and so on. Now we have the loopback. INET, that INET address you see there, 127.0.0.1, is the IP version 4 address, and it's got a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. And then you see below that the IP version 6 address, and that is just the number 1. And you'll see it written as, most often as : 1, like we see here. You don't need to be in the downloads folder to run that. If I were to go back a level, cd space ... that takes me back one level of a directory. And if I typed in ifconfig there, ifconfig is part of the, you can always access it. Same as ping. That probably won't work, yeah, because we're not connected to the internet at this particular time. So there we go. We also need to know iwconfig. That's the wireless config. And if we have wireless enabled in the virtual machine that we've got here, you would see it at that time. And you'd see very much the same information. You would see a loopback address. You would see the EMP-OS3 wireless information there. Let's see, we need to know PS, which is process. Those are the two processes running right now under our username. Let's see, PS-AUX is going to give us a nice listing of everything that's running on our computer. So I have a Tom user was created earlier, John, that I'm logged in on, and then you have root. And I got all these things. So suppose I wanted to just view the processes that were running on that Tom user there. So I might do something like PSAUX. Then I'm going to use the pipe command. That's that straight line that we see there. This is going to take all of the output of PSAUX and use it as the input for whatever we type in next. And what we're typing in next is grep, which is a regular expression processor. It will, you give that utility a certain text pattern to look for. In this case, we're going to type in Tom, and it's going to go through the output of PS and look for anything that says Tom, and we'll see that just now. Let's see, grab Tom, hit enter, and we see we're running this under super user, which is that, excuse me here, that SU. I shouldn't say super user, I should say switch user. That's another utility you're going to need to know, and I'll explain that in a second. And you see the other processes that have the word Tom present in them. And that's pretty much what grep gives us. Very good. The grep is a very good utility for finding patterns, not just in the output of your utilities, but also for files, directory structures, and that sort of thing.